That's one thing. It's like picking up the horn and having fun with it. The idea of long tones, of course, you know, we're all told these pat things like long tones, scales, you know, and arpeggios, right? Oh yeah, we got to play those. I'm going to practice those in all 12 keys. Well, it's a huge thing, like how to practice those, right? So Tom was talking about just say, let's take the chromatic scale for example. Okay, so once you're playing it smoothly top to bottom, well, then jazz is about math. It's about archaeology because we have to explore the music that's already been done and find our area of archaeology that's really interesting, whether it be Egyptian pyramids or Babylonian archaeology, whatever. But we have to go, well, what kind of players interest me? What is the music that really does it for me? But within like finding stuff that interests you, it's all about it's not what I tell you to do. It's about what interests you, because that is important to be able to go ahead and practice stuff, right? I think you could be doing all kinds of stuff during the day. There's a lot to do, right? But there's a reason. And I won't talk about all that. Like the psychology or the of why you're playing this instrument, right? Why it's so important to you to check out these videos and get all the pedagogy and all that. So, like, what do you want to do with it, right? Is it just fun to do with it? That's fine. That's great. Or are you in a band? Or do you want to play in a band? Do you want to do gigs? For me, I've been a very lucky person that I've been able to play music my entire life. And it's kind of worked out that I was able to do a lot of different things. I could wear a lot of hats. I could make a living playing music because I played gigs my entire life. So like I would go on a gig and go, oh man, I don't know what I'm doing here. There was bands everywhere. There was gigs everywhere because they needed musicians. There was no other way to get music, right? So that lucky for me, that was how the experience that a lot of us had is learning what we needed to learn to make the gig, to do the gig, because you want to get called back, right? You want the gig. You want to keep doing it. Hey, man, this is fun, and actually can make some money, right? Not a lot, but usually, but anyway, the ecosystem of music was one in which drove my interest in it, because by doing it and going, holy cow, this is fun, I wanted to pick up the horn and the next day and said, man, I'm gonna get better like doing this. So I think I could do this. I want to get better. I want to get better. And then you would get a chance to go try it out, what you're practicing. And then going, oh man, I wasn't good at that. The reason why I figured out a lot of stuff about equipment over the years is because I did so many gigs, and some equipment worked better for certain gigs, right? And if I did a Broadway pit gig and I had a 9-star link on with a 3.5 read on, it wasn't going to make it. I wouldn't be able to go. Right. So the equipment needs to work for what the gig is. So that's how I learned a lot about what works. Right? So equipment, I know a lot about it, but it's just a tool. Right? It's not, as long as you have something that works well, so you could, and you like the way it sounds. And we could talk about equipment, but that's time consuming and stuff. So, but the idea of failing by playing music and then failing, meaning like, oh, that sucked. What do I do? You have to simulate that environment that I was talking about that I did, right? You have to simulate that. And there's ways to do that, right? Because we have um, you know, play-alongs. We have all kinds of stuff online. And in your head, you know tunes. And when you practice, and this is what I brought this along because this is it's 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 just an old tune list that I printed out a long time ago. That I'll throw a dart, and okay, I'm going to play that tune and pretend I'm on stage playing that tune and make it sound good, right? And not stop. Can't stop. I'm going to screw up because I can't remember tune that well, but I'm going to keep cycling that tune and try to access that part of my memory of one of these tunes, right? That's what we have to do. You can't have all music in your head at any given moment. But you were going to access the stuff that Tom mentioned this, like that you already know, right? Play those tunes. So if you're going to play a tune, play Somewhere Over the Rainbow. That doesn't matter. So beautiful, right? So I don't know if you played it before. Okay, but you're accessing the tune. You know the tune, right? And I guarantee you, if you keep playing that tune, you'll play it differently. You'll embellish it differently. You'll play different notes, different rhythms, because that's the jazz ethos, right? It's never play the same thing once, right? so, and then you change the key. Then you change the key. Then you change the key. You know, that's good practice, right? It's like it's a kind of obvious thing, right? But that's practice because you're challenging your ear to get your horn to sound pretty on a tune that you know, right? So these are other things to think about in your practice routine because you want to make it enjoyable, or else you want, I'll do a lot of other things, no, it's got to be enjoyable, right? So, all right, so that's kind of some of what I like to try to inspire people to think about practicing in these, accessing the music they already know, trying to relate what they hear on their horn, so you learn how to play in tune. When you're playing along with the tracks, you got to play along. You're going to notice if you're in tune or not. You cannot play out of tune, period. You're a musician, you have to play in tune, right? So you got to play in tune. How do you do that? Well, you got to be self-aware. Am I sharp? Am I flat? What am I doing? How am I doing that? Maybe my mouthpiece is not helping me. It's possible. Certainly the reed. The reed is the thing, the number one thing that makes your sound, right? That's what vibrates, right? So is it important? I think it is. Because if you have a reed that doesn't function well on your mouthpiece, really optimally vibrate with the opening of your mouthpiece, blah, 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 you're going to change things here to make that reed respond, right? So to get the reed to respond, you're going to do everything you can to get it to respond, and thusly could cause you to create bad habits, let's say, right? So this happens a lot. I've been teaching for a long time, and I have students that come in every semester, and they have a myriad of problems, and usually they're playing way too tight, right? Way too tight. And some of this is based on classical training, and the air conditioner. Um, the classical approach to saxophone is not helpful for jazz players, right? And then I love classical saxophone and playing music, but a lot of classical teachers are very ideological about making a sound and their equipment and everything, and the kids really don't want to do that. They want to play jazz. They hear Eric Marienthal, they hear Mike Brecker, they hear whatever, a myriad of people that I want to do that, right? And they've been taught to play, right? Like they're clamping down here, right? Because when you roll over, right, and then you do that, right? It's like it drives me crazy because that approach um, uh, starts a chain reaction of things that are hard to break, right? So um, loose get to read the vibrate, and if you listen to um, players that have robust sound. I remember driving in the car when I was, I don't know, 12, 13 years old with my dad, and on the radio they had instrumentals. They had all kinds of music on the radio, on the AM radio, right? And there was Boots Randolph. I'll never forget it. He went, right? He went, so it was a hit. It was a huge hit. Shadow of Your Smile. But it was like the sound was like, all this beautiful subtone, right? And I go, wow. I remember going home and getting my horn out. So, how does he do that, right? Right. So I figured out how to do that. Oh man, that's like, wow, it's really my jaws way down, right? It takes a lot of air to play subtone, but it's soft, but it takes more air to play subtone. I got to keep the reed vibrating to play soft, right? So actually counterintuitive what you think, right? So air is very important, like a whole nother topic for another day. But what I realized, that's how to play the saxophone. Because if you play loose, right? So when I pick up, I also play the chromatic scale. When I pick up the horn, if I could do that, I'm doing things right. Right? If you're playing with too tight, you can't do that. Right? So I come from soft. Learn to control the horn softly, because that's harder than playing loud, right? And so if your equipment doesn't let you do that, then you might consider, well, is the reed too hard? Is the mouthpiece not quite right for me? These questions come about when you can't do things that you hear that you want to do, right? So be able to go. So, you could, how do you, I was thinking when Tom was talking about the chromatic scale. Okay, so like, all right, chromatic scale, right? So moving these intervals around the horn is how I practice a lot, right? I'll just take an interval and then break it down in different ways. I'm not exactly sure. Sometimes I'll write it down. I brought these along because I've had these for years, these little notepads. Sometimes like a student will come in, or they'll come and play a cool lick, pattern. Right? Oh, that was nice. What was that? Yeah, I like that. And I'll write it down so I can remind myself. Now, all jazz musicians have these notebooks in different ways. Tom Harrell has his whole floor covered with like hundreds of notebooks, right? He hears something, write it down. That's like, this is what we do. This is the research, right? So the thing about moving intervals around, we are trying to make melodies, and to make melodies and be free, we need to learn intervals. We have to move freely on the horn, and all music is intervals. That's the math. It's all intervals, right? So in chromatic scales, obviously, one of many. But how are you going to break that down? You could now you could get into like, okay, I'm going to have one or two or three intervallic things that I'm working on this week, right? And it doesn't matter what they are, by the way. It doesn't matter what you practice. It only matters how you practice it. It doesn't matter. There's too much. It's infinite stuff to practice, right? So if you practice one thing really great, so it's clean and burning by the end of the week, that filters into everything else that you play. Because I don't. What do you think, Tom? It's just kind of like if you do one thing really well, then everything else feels better.
Yeah.
Right. But how to do something really well is tedious, right? And you can't do this tedious thing all day long because you'll drive yourself crazy. It won't inspire you to keep doing it. Most importantly, you want to be inspired and feel the progress on something.
Hey there, sorry to jump in real quick while you're watching, but if you've been digging this video so far, I've got something I think you'll really want to check out. Let me ask you this. You've studied the theory, you've learned the licks, you've played the heads, and even transcribed the solos, but your own playing still isn't locking in like the greats. Why not? Most players think they need more vocabulary or fancier substitutions to sound better, but in reality, the missing piece, the thing that actually makes someone sound like a jazz player isn't more notes. It's tone, articulation, and time feel. And that's exactly what this course is built around. Welcome to the Jazz Saxophone Blueprint, mastering tone, articulation, and time feel. This is my complete step-by-step course to help you build your sound, style, and swing feel your playing has been missing. This isn't just a random collection of lessons, it's the result of decades of study, performance, and teaching, all distilled into a structured system that has helped saxophonists finally sound the way they know they're capable of. Inside, you'll get access to over 25 in-depth video lessons, no fluff, just the exact methods I use with students and pros. Full demonstration videos so you can hear and see exactly how each concept works. Downloadable PDFs for every exercise, phrase, and concept. No guesswork. A complete course workbook that includes all exercises in one place, plus a key insights section for every lesson so you can absorb the most important takeaways and track your progress clearly. You'll learn how to develop a resonant, focused tone through overtone and tuning exercises, and how to build a swing and time feel through articulation, breath accents, pivot patterns, and blues phrasing. This course is designed to meet you where you are, and it's totally self-paced. You can move freely between lessons and sections at any time, but I've also organized everything in a clear progression to help you get the most out of the material. Plus, you'll be able to download a full book of 200 jazz phrases over the most important chord progression in jazz, the 2-5-1. This is a lifetime study of vocabulary with bebop phrasing, alto-dominant ideas, and even a built-in practice tracker to help you stay on course. You'll also get bonus lessons like my 5-step improvisation method, a major chord and scale workout, blues phrasing and how to keep things rhythmically interesting, a full melodic breakdown of blue bossa, bebop enclosures, approach notes, and sidestepping sequences. Whether you're an adult learner getting back into playing the horn, a serious high school player preparing for auditions, or a professional looking to refine your core sound, this course gives you the foundation to play musically, confidently, and authentically. So if you're tired of guessing, if you're tired of sounding almost there, click the link and join me inside the Jazz Saxophone Blueprint. Let's make your playing feel as good as it sounds in your head. I'll see you inside the course.
So how, so I don't know, chromatic scale. So there's a minor third with a chromatic move in it, right? That's harder. But I found that a long time ago. I think Rob Lockhart had, not that one. He had, so that's a complex series of that pattern, and that pattern moves up. You wouldn't start with that, right? But that's really it hit me. Somewhere it's here, right? So, oh man, that's hard. I want to work on that, right? And every time I picked up the horn, I got to that, right? And I worked, of course, over the break. Then it starts again. Oh, that's it. I can do it. Oh, whole step. Yeah, I forgot it. I have to go home and review that one. But I just liked it because it was hard, right? And it really was something that appealed to me. It doesn't matter. You don't have to do that. But I realized by doing that, it helped me move around the horn in a different way, right? So if you go the right, so I try to stick it in the tune. That wasn't very good, but maybe parts of it. There's a minor third in there, there's a whole step in there, and there's a chromatic thing in there, right? So what I was just doing here is practicing in front of you, right? I took a tune, and I go, I'm going to try to use this thing I've been practicing all week. It's starting to feel good, right? And I'm going to insert it in something that I already know, right? And see how it works. And you're going to fail doing it. It doesn't matter because you know the tune. You keep the form together. So what you're doing is like when I know we've all experienced, you're going, you hear a word, and it's a new word, and you like the word. It's a good word, right? You go, that's a good word, right? And I'm gonna use that word. And then next time you're in a conversation, you actually go, okay, I'm going to use that word. And then you try to use that word, and it's just totally uncomfortable. You just feel like, you're just like, man, that was really lame, right? Especially in a foreign language, right? It happens a lot, but you try to communicate in a foreign language. But you try it again. And a third, fourth, fifth time you use that word, you got it. You're not thinking about that word anymore. It's just part of your lexicon of that stuff. This is the kind of same thing. You got to kind of inculcate this in your neuromuscular memory, practice it in a way that is under control, and then you're going to use it in a tune that you know. Right? To me, no one ever taught me any of this stuff, by the way. I had very, very little jazz study. I'm not proud of it. It's just, for me, that's just the way, it was just playing gigs and then doing what we're talking about here is how I practiced, right? So I'm just relating to you my experience of how I practiced. And I didn't know this stuff. I'm communicating it to you after the fact because it was just stuff I did that seemed to inspire me and kind of work for me, So I'm relaying my experience of practicing jazz from my organic way that I kind of experienced it, right? From trying it out and failing and like trying to pick things off. Transcription, extremely important. But I was never a guy to transcribe on paper a lot. I did that a little bit, especially in college. But transcribing by ear, right? So I'd just play along. And there would be, if there was a lick, I heard that. Or not, that's complicated. It's like, so you're playing along with Hank Mobley and he's going. Maybe that, right? Just a little short 2/5 on A minor D, right? You even simpler. So you might have heard that, and you go, "Oh, I like that. I'm going to practice that." Cool. You might write it down just to remember it for next time. But how you're going to practice that is interesting, right? So there's all kinds of stuff about that lick, about any music that. Well, how did Hank play it? Is it, or is it? Same notes, same lick, and maybe he had a doo-dee-ah-dee-ah. The way he's playing it has a tongue in there, a do tongue. It's not quite right. I'm going to get that do tongue in there. Okay, then. Harder, right? Maybe chromatic like that. That could be one thing. Just one little lick that you were inspired enough to go, oh, that's I hear that everywhere. I'm gonna learn that. Right? You decide. But how you practice it could be a lot of different ways, right? You could have a practice routine that has rudiments, but you could have like one or two of these kind of 2/5 patterns. You could have intervallic pattern. What's an interval? Play an intervallic pattern for me, my man. Yeah, anything that you're practicing right now. What are you practicing? Okay, nice. But that's kind of scalular, right? And that's good, right? And to get that was very nice, by the way. But like a lick, like an intervallic. Now, what would an intervallic pattern mean to any of you?
Skips notes.
Could be 2 notes. An interval could be anything: minor third, fourth, fifth, sixth, augmented fifth, right? So we have to move these intervals around the horn. So that could be something that you'd say you're going to do minor thirds. So I'm going to play a minor third, right? So what? All right. So I'm going to take that minor third, and this is something that I do a lot because it really kind of defines whether I could play around this stuff around the horn, which is like always a struggle. So, if I had a minor third, so I'm playing it chromatically. Okay, so around the horn, that's hard. And then a jazz musician goes, what else can I do with it? What else can I do with it?
Full steps.
Reverse it. It's always harder to break, right? So I'm practicing in front of you. I'm noticing the little discrepancy, and then I'm going back and playing it slower, and then I'm going to incorporate it. Now I'm breaking it down in different ways, right? Right? Math. It's just math. So now the same minor third. I'm reversing them, right? We all play that. It's chromatic. Once again, chromatic, but we're taking an interval and interpolating that interval around the horn. That could be something that you work just that. Is it important to get the minor third? Yeah, it's just one of hundreds or 1,000 ways to do it. But for the jazz mind, the jazz mind wants to take an interval and get it together, and then figure out a different way to do it. So I just reversed it. Direction, I reversed the interval. Now I'm going to flip it this way. Go chromatically. Ah, now it's getting cool, right? It's harder. And notice I'm using the bis key all the time. Bis key. Got to use the bis key. Put a cork underneath your and disengage that sucker. You don't need it. Now, it's hard, right? So you got the metronome on. I might repeat it, right? All right, so then you got it kind of under your fingers, right? Then you got the metronome on. You could have a nice little funk shuffle beat or something, right? So you got a tonality maybe to relate to. Right now, I'm just kind of inserting it in a groove, trying to use it musically, right? You're just trying to get free with it now, right? Make music out of that exercise. So now you're bridging the exercise with functionality of using it, right? So this is kind of stuff that I'm just throwing out there really fast today to give you ideas what I do to practice, right? And it kind of challenges my technique, and it also challenges my creativity of trying to use it in a real practical way on a tune, right? So, questions? Anything? We're running out of time, I assume.
We're doing well. The only thing I'm concerned about is the camera overheating.
Any quick questions, you guys, about your own issues, about not with your wife or
How deep you want to go?
anything come to mind that we could address? Come on.
As far as learning standards, we've all heard the standard way of go through changes. As far as incorporating it, go through the changes, just the roots, and then thirds, and then you can arpeggiate and all that kind of stuff. Anything to add into or change that or to make it more effective?
It's a very common question because we're told that we're all told that we have to learn standards, and yes, we do. But when I was told that, it's because we knew that if we learned standards and played them well, we could get work, right? It was part of like what we had to do. If you knew a lot of tunes, you could work, right? So that's not necessarily the case now. But the reason why standards are so important to learn, not only is these tunes are like rich, beautiful tunes that teach us the history of how these tunes are played based on recordings, and the harmonic motion, the harmonic movement is jazz, right? How to negotiate the harmony on a standard tune is what we're trying to do. So yes, you're right. There's a whole day of talking about how to learn a standard, right? So if you had a standard that you were interested in learning, so what would be the first thing I would do is like look at a recording, get some recordings of it, of some maybe an alto player that you love, see how they play it, right? Play along with it, learn the tune by ear, Not because not you got the real book and you're going to do the arpeggios and up and down until you get the arpeggio. That's not. That's okay, to be able to kind of build chords on your instrument is important. You have to do that, but you're never going to do that ultimately when you're playing solo. No one wants to hear that, right? You're trying to make new melodies. So that do you play piano?
Yeah, a little bit, enough to do chords.
Chords. That's all you need to do. So get that tune and start out with tunes that aren't so hard, right? And play the chords just to get the idea of where the root movement's going, and to get the sound of these chords, how they move. Even if it's out of time, you're just gonna play along with play the piano, maybe the root on the bottom and the melody, and just fill in the chord. And I remember doing that, not with any idea of what I was doing, but I had, if it was misty, right? So, I would play that first 8 bars. Da-na-na. And fill in. From the melody, I'm filling in the chord underneath the melody. That's the way to do it, I think. Mm-hmm. So you got a tune that you really know. There's the chord, right? There's the C minor. I'm hitting the melody and then filling in the chord from the melody note, right? So that's really good way to approach learning a tune, from the melody, right? It's like but learning tunes is one of the, every topic is a huge topic, right? So how do you learn tunes? If you could say, well, you go through the tunes with the scales, the chord scale, arpeggio. Never helped me that much, really, to do that. It was a good exercise, must say, and I guess you should be able to do that. But to me, it was like connecting the cool notes. Like the music comes from embellishing melodies, right? It's about taking a melody I just did surround notes on the melody, right? You can hear that, right? Now here's a nice little 2/5, right? Right, there's a place you could take one of those 2/5 licks that you transcribed from Hank Mobley or Dex, right, and stick it in, right? Okay, I hope this is helpful.
I hope you got as much out of that masterclass with Bob Sheppard as I did. Seriously, so many gems in that one. His approach to practice, transcription, and musical development is a perfect example of what it really means to find your own sound and voice on the saxophone. If this video sparked something in you, drop a comment below and let me know what resonated most. And if you haven't already, make sure you grab your free copy of Rhythm Changes, the Ultimate Guide in the video description. The companion video is there too, totally free and designed to help you build confidence and vocabulary over one of the most essential progressions in jazz. If you're enjoying this content, hit the subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and share it with your saxophone friends. It helps a ton and it keeps the Next Level Sax community growing. All right, that's it for me. Time to hit the shed. Thanks for watching and happy practicing.